The hosts of Two Bored Apes are not registered investment advisors. The podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. Nothing said on it should be construed as investment advice.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff.
I don't know what episode this is. It's been so long. Welcome to episode 40-something of Two Bored Apes. I'm your host, Jamie. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Roy. Roy, how are you?
I'm very well. It's episode 47. 47. Okay. But it's been a while, so I forgive you for not knowing. It's been, I think, about almost a month. I'm just under a month since the last episode came out. It's been a hell of a month. We have a lot to catch up on. A lot of news of the week. News of the month. But first of all, how are you, Jamie? Have you had a large meal recently?
I had a pretty large meal right before this, but not large enough that it's going to affect my recording.
Okay, good.
I had some pasta with shells. That's not right. It was the pasta itself was shells. It's like a cream sauce and some chicken and scallions and hot peppers.
That sounds tasty.
How about you? What was the last meal you ate?
I ate some salmon sashimi. Like we got sushi. Well, we got Japanese food last night and had leftovers today. It was good.
Leftover sashimi is not the best sashimi.
Yeah, but it wasn't like strictly sashimi. It was like chopped salmon sashimi, and there was like a marinade that sort of made it like a creamy, spicy type thing. It was tasty, and it was still good the day after.
All right.
Yep. All right. Do we want to catch up on our personal lives? Let's jump into some news of the week. Where do we want to go, Jamie?
Let's just do the NFT stuff, and then organically it'll come out that you had COVID and I have COVID now.
All right.
And all these things happen and all that good stuff.
Well,
I can hear it. I'm a little bit stuffed up here.
I can hear it a little bit, yeah. And you look awful. You just look absolutely
It's funny stuff.
Well, NFT.NYC, that's probably the biggest thing that's happened since we last spoke in the NFT space on like a grand level. There's been some pretty,
I guess,
other like newsworthy events. But yeah, let's dig into that.
By the way, we also talk about DeFi, right? So if we're going to talk about DeFi, there's been a lot of other big stuff.
Oh yeah, Celsius and so on and so on and so on. But no one cares about DeFi.
No.
Certainly
not us.
No. Insofar unless it extends into the NFT space and affects us there.
Yeah. So you want to talk about NFT.NYC, it sounds like. How was it for you?
So the day I landed, I came to NFT.NYC from Amsterdam, where I was for another conference, Met Amsterdam, which, by the way, was amazing. I have only good things to say about that entire experience, except that I got COVID. And so on the flight over from Amsterdam to New York City, I had internet on the plane, and I got a WhatsApp message from someone that I'd spent a lot of time with in Amsterdam being like, hey guys, in a group chat, I tested positive for COVID, not feeling well, you might want to get tested. And I was like, oh no. Because at this point I was feeling a little under the weather. And yeah, sure enough, landed into New York, eventually got a test from a pharmacy. I went, the first place I went, they wanted to charge me like $200 or $300 to get tested. And that was ridiculous. And then,
yeah, that is ridiculous.
I tweeted it, and everyone replied to my tweets and like, you just go to a tent. Like there's tents all over New York and it's free. And there's stands, and I was like, and there's vans. And I was like, all right, cool. I went for a walk. I found one, and I was like, I'd like to get tested, please. And they said, where's your insurance? And I was like, I don't have American insurance.
I don't have any. You just say, I don't have any.
I said that, and they said, all right, it'll be $50 then. And I was like, well, it was either 50 or 100.
You told them you were a foreigner.
Yes.
That's your mistake. You got to put on your best American accent and say you're uninsured.
Anyway, so then that didn't work. And then I went to CVS, I think, and got like a whole bunch of those rapid tests and instantly tested positive. They say that you got to wait 10 minutes, and then it was just like...
That's what I hear from everybody. And it happened for me when I tested 2 days ago.
The line just immediately pops up.
Right up.
And I was like, oh, well, This is fun because it was on a Sunday and they had so much stuff planned that week.
Yeah, you really did. You said pharmacy. This is not interesting, but I'm surprised that you used the word pharmacy. I would have thought Australians had a different word or something. Chemist? Chemist?
Yeah, we say chemist or pharmacy. Yeah. What we don't say is drugstore.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's fun little aside there.
Yeah. I think in Australia it's chemist, in Europe it's pharmacy, and then the US is
yeah, because I
drugstore.
feel like I remember in the ancient past hearing you use
let's go to the chemist
word, but not you're using the right one, pharmacist or pharmacy. So you didn't get to do all the stuff you wanted to do.
No, there was
keep talking and I'll be right back.
All right. So there was, I bet he's going to get his like ZenAcademy hoodie or something.
Lucky guess!
There was a ZenAcademy event. There was a 333 Club event. There was a joint event we did with Meta Angels. There you go, ZenAcademy hoodie.
Take the sleeve out so it looks better.
Yeah, I didn't really get to go to any of it. There was so many other events I wanted to go to. There was so much art block stuff happening that week. There was a Proof and Moonbirds event I wanted to go to.
That's the Samsung Art Blocks event. Looked so friggin' cool, and I wish I went to it.
I am amazed that you didn't. ZenAcademy pin.
That was one where it said you had to RSVP ahead of time, and I just didn't. And so by the time I became like cognizant that I wanted to go or would go, because here's the other thing is that I was kind of planning on going to New York and not really doing any NFT stuff except for going to your event. But then immediately you got COVID and I was like, oh, well, now I can't do no NFT stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let me look at the art blocks options. That was basically the gist of it.
Yeah. So that they basically had an event where they had like a 30-foot Samsung monitor, and just like for several days they would just hang out there and have like talks and chats. And Q&A. I think at one point they had a DJ. Yeah.
Here's the thing is that all art blocks projects, the code has to be what is
resolution agnostic.
Resolution is the word I could not think of. Resolution agnostic. So basically all the code says like, a quarter of the way into the canvas or whatever and so on. It's never a certain number of pixels. That way they can all be expanded or shrunk as big or as small as you want to. Although I guess if you went small enough to like
smaller, it won't look the same, but larger it would look the same. Yeah.
And so they had these things blown up huge, and it was really amazing looking. And I'm saying that as somebody who saw pictures that people took from their phones on Twitter. I didn't even see the real thing. And they still looked amazing. Seeing how big they were.
The one of the Meridian, like the Starry Night Meridian with the DJ in front, that was
the Singularity.
The Singularity amazing. Was so good. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
Videos, like the phases that were just like, oh man.
I feel like I didn't see as many of the video ones.
I saw a couple, but yeah. Anyway, I did not get to attend basically any event. Towards the end of the week, so I tested positive Monday. I was like basically, I think Monday, so I tested positive Sunday, and like the first couple of days I was like wrecked, just fever, bedridden, just could barely even like pay attention to the TV. But then I started feeling better. And so like towards the end, at a certain point, I was like, all right, I'm going to mask up, go out to a park and meet like a small group of people, mostly my team. And that was great. So that was like one of the highlights. Met you and your sister-in-law there. We went and got some food, and that was great. But yeah, overall, I watched some great Netflix, Stranger Things, The Boys, Severance, really good shows.
The Boys is not Netflix.
I watched a lot of TV. Severance isn't either. So I watched Netflix, I watched Apple TV, I watched Amazon, whatever it is, Prime Video. Yeah. I watched Severance, regular TV.
Now here, I've never seen Stranger Things until the other day in Vegas. The finale of the newest season, Kara and Roy, his name is also Roy, which is annoying. We're watching it when I got back from busting the main event, and I was like, this show is a lot different than I thought it was.
What did you think it was?
Well, see, from like the ads and what I knew about it or whatever, it was much more about like the kids and them getting into some maybe like
mischief.
Mischief, but like I guess the sci-fi and scary stuff was sort of on the peripheries in my understanding. But I guess we're in the finale of a later season, so like 11 maybe is like face to face with this crazy guy in some like other world. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was. a great season and very intense and very cool.
People love The Boys too. I mean, they will just not shut up about it.
I will say though that of everything I watched, Severance was my favorite. That is a fantastic show.
Good.
Yeah, it's kind of like I got real like Black Mirror vibes, except Black Mirror every episode is like in isolation. This was just like a series of, I don't know, 7 episodes, 10 episodes,
7 episodes, yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it's on my list for sure. It looked great, and I've only pretty much heard good things about it.
Yeah. Anyway, that was largely my NFT.NYC experience. What events did you go to? Did you go to much aside from the ZenAcademy?
So I went to the ZenAcademy thing, and I went to the Squiggles Gallery at Venus over Manhattan, and that was the entirety of my NFT stuff while I was there. How was the
Squiggles Gallery?
It was cool. It's only 2 small rooms, so I didn't realize how small it was, and I was like done quickly. But aside from the fact that it's not large, it was cool. And they have the entirety of the code for Squiggles on one of the walls, which I thought was
that's
neat.
Cool.
And there was, so the first room was like a curated collection of maybe 20 different Squiggles or something on the infinite objects displays. And then the next room was the first 100, or maybe the second 100. I think it's the first, though, of that new batch of 300 that he recently minted. So those were all on display on like this big cube.
Very cool. Very cool.
Maybe a 5x5 grid on each.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. You know what's interesting? I think if you're into generative art, is that I haven't really seen anything even remotely similar to Squiggles in any other collection. Like you look at like projects that use like flow fields, and then you can sort of see that inspiration. Yeah. Like, why don't we see like animated, colorful lines in other things?
Right. That's a good question. I don't really have an answer for you. There's something that's so simple about it.
Yeah.
That it seems hard to even riff on without just being a copy. Whereas flow fields, like you're taking up the entirety of the canvas, and so you can like mess around with the density and stuff. And then also like when you're talking about, for instance, the palette, the squiggle is just going through the whole collection of these sort of neon versions of the colors. And so to adjust, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Kind of. Yeah. It is difficult to like you find something similar that's not like a copy, like you said.
Yeah. And it's also like there's a level of iconicness to it that makes it just sort of so obvious that it would be a copy if you tried.
I think a Solana project once did something that was basically a copy, and I bet it just got a lot of flack.
fxhash hard enough, you could find something.
Yeah,
I have not seen it either.
Yeah. How was your experience with the ZenAcademy event?
It was good. A lot of fans of this podcast that are probably listening to this right now, and happy that we're finally recording again. That was cool. It was a legitimate event too. You know, I was like, oh, it's Roy's thing or whatever. But then I went there. And it was like it was a proper event. That was funny. My favorite part probably though was getting to meet your sister behind your back. I never met Roy's sister before. I've heard plenty about her. She's heard plenty about me. And then we just got to talk shit about you, which was really fantastic. And you were not there to defend yourself, so that was a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you had fun at my expense.
She had a lot of funny stuff to say about younger you and what a pain in the ass you were.
Well, all right, we don't need to get into this. Let's move on. I'm bummed I didn't go to much. Like Ape Fest, obviously a big thing that happened that week. Yeah. I was not even planning to go though, even if I didn't get COVID, because I had other stuff on basically every night. I'm kind of glad.
You sent me
like
a picture of your like Google Calendar.
Oh, my calendar. Yeah, crazy. It's ridiculous. I'm kind of glad because that I didn't have stuff not on, and went to Ape Fest, because it's just like it would have been kind of cool, but it's totally not my vibe. Like music, concert, bunch of loud stuff and alcohol and just. Yeah, I'm sure it was cool, especially like last night. Eminem,
like 5 to 10 every day. So I feel like I don't know. I didn't go. I was not invited. I was no longer a member. But from like 5 to 7 or whatever, I assume it was much more chill. But I can't really be sure.
Think so, but yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know.
I saw like really funny / kind of depressing videos of like LCD sound system or big names like performing on stage, and like the crowd just not really caring and just like having conversations, and it's like ordinarily people would pay like hundreds of dollars or however much to go see them, and like the crowd would be going crazy for them. And then this video is just like they're on stage and like people have their backs turned and they're like in circles having a conversation. It's like that's got to feel odd as a performer. Yeah. All right, and then to top it all off, on the way back from NFT.NYC, Rachel and I's initial flight got delayed like 3 times.
I remember this now.
Eventually, so much so that we were going to miss our connecting flight. So we were going to go New York, Detroit, I believe, and then from there to Munich. Yeah, and then. Yeah, we were like, all right. So we went to the counter and we're like, well, our flight's delayed. We're going to miss our connecting. Can you help? And the lady behind the counter was like, all right, what flight were you on? And like, where are you trying to get to? Munich by Channel? And she's like, she looks at her and she's like, oh crap. And then it's like literally half an hour. She was like typing in the computer on phone. She was at a counter and there were like 3 terminals with like 4 or 5 phones. And she had like 4 of them dedicated to her. She like called and she was like hold and then hold music. But like half an hour later, she's like, all right, so I got you guys on like a midnight flight, which is like 10 hours later. From here, I don't even remember where we went via. And then I think Paris. So from here to Paris to Munich. And then we're like, okay, sure, great. Like at that point,
lights.
The city of love?
I think it might be both.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we were happy. We took it. We came here, and we asked, like, with our bags, what are they going to get checked all the way through? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then we land, go to baggage claim in Munich, and as soon as we get in there, we just
wanted to claim your baggage.
We wanted to claim our baggage, and we just knew the odds were not good because lined up around the entire the room, but there were just tons and tons of bags, sometimes like 2 or 3 rows deep. Yeah. And we were just like, yeah, this is not a good sign. Our bags didn't come. We went to the counter to like tell the person working there that our bags are missing. And we gave them like a baggage claim tag, a bag tags that, they give you when you check in. They're like, hold them please in case you miss your bags.
Yeah, the thing
so we hand that over.
You never have to use.
Yep. And she was like, all right, I can't find them. And we're like, okay, so now what do we do? And she's like, I don't know. And then eventually she's like, all right, fill out this form, put it in details, tell us like what color the bag was, what kind of bag it is, give us your names. We'll try and track it down. And then she said, it'll probably take a week. It's been 2.5 weeks now. Every day I log in and check, because there's a tracking site. There's no significant updates. Yeah. I think the latest is like the research continues. So
are you going to buy those air tags, the
yes.
Apple things?
Yeah.
That's what the cool people do now.
That's what everyone was saying. I'm sure it'll help a bit, but like, if we're sitting at the counter and like, well, our bags are in Detroit, what do? Do they go send someone to find them? It's like still not that useful, but I'm sure it's
Detroit. No, I mean, I've seen people in Twitter threads basically say that they did that and it got worked out almost immediately.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to do it. Like,
yeah.
So that was my NFT.NYC experience. Not the best, not the worst. Watched some TV and saw some people. Ate a $50 pizza.
The boys.
Yeah, Severance. All right. What other news of the week? News of the month?
3 Arrows Capital blowing up.
That's big.
Like the biggest thing to me, I think.
Do you want to run through?
Had it already started though? When the last time we recorded, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. You want to run through what Three Arrows Capital is, and
it's basically a very, very big very big crypto fund, and there had been sort of a lot of talk and speculation about when they would post like hyper bullish stuff, how much of it was them to just, prepare people to dump their bags on and all this sort of stuff. I think, a lot of it tongue in cheek jokes, but also potentially, true. But then it turned out that it seemed that they were hyper mega bullish because they were leveraged very hard.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't know this until very recently. But they were just super levered, and then as crypto started crashing, they became insolvent recently, and now they're in liquidation. And they are also, Starry Night Capital is under their umbrella and are basically the biggest buyers of NFTs of all time, of high-end NFTs. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that portfolio of NFTs, how they liquidate it. Theoretically, maybe some really good deals for some higher end buyers, but it's very interesting to me because, they were the biggest NFT buyer, again, when you're talking about of that scale and caliber of NFTs, and to try and liquidate their portfolio after crypto is wrecked. It's like, who is meant to suck up all of that liquidity of NFTs?
Yeah.
Who are going to be the buyers?
Yeah.
I guess in theory, when you become insolvent and have to liquidate, you're not intending to get back 100% necessarily.
Oh, they're not even
I
get
guess
close.
They're preparing to take big haircuts on a lot of stuff, especially in USD terms.
Yeah.
Although, a lot of the stuff that they bought was early. Like they bought, like a lot of, or this is how my memory is of it, at least, like a lot of the micro uniform Fidenzas and stuff for like 100 ETH. Back when the Fidenza floor had not even sniffed being at 100, and now the floor for the whole collection is there, and to have micro uniforms there, those are good prices. Again, in F terms, when you do it in USD terms, not even close.
Not as good,
but
yeah,
I'm just that's been a huge story. And then there's been lots of speculation and little bits of real information, on Twitter and elsewhere about all of it.
Yeah, I the part I'm like most interested in is obviously the NFTs and how they're going to be liquidated. Who's going to be buying them? Are they going to go in the open market? A lot of people say that they're going to be like an over-the-counter private deal, a bundle deal. I'm not sure. It's probably going to take a while.
Who's the buyer for if they're going to bundle them all up? Nobody, I think.
I'm sure there's someone like at the right price. Like, I mean, at a reasonable price.
Yeah, sure. I'll be the buyer at the right price. But if the right price is supposed to be anything over 33% of their cost basis, I literally don't know who the buyer could possibly be.
There's a lot of wealthy people out there. Someone bought a Fidenza for 500 ETH like a couple of days ago, an ape punk for like 2,500 ETH.
A Fidenza. They have like 50 high-end Fidenzas plus everything.
True.
Like it's a crazy collection.
It is a crazy. I saw something about how the fund was like their collection was valued at like $7 million, but it can't be. It's got to be more than that, right?
Yeah, no, there was. I think you're talking. There was an article that was very poorly researched by some sort of anti-crypto, anti-NFT guy.
Yeah,
and people called him out on it, but he was just kind of looking at like highest offers and floor prices, not considering traits, and just no level of good research on it.
Interesting. Yeah, going to be really curious to follow. It'll probably be a story that we'll continue to cover over the coming months as these things get liquidated. Yeah.
So the fund had, it seems like, two guys at the top, Kyle and Zhu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, ZHU. And some of Zhu tweeted a lot, and there was one tweet that he tweeted that said, like, if you don't control your, what is it? The market will do it for you.
Yeah, if you don't manage your risk, the market will manage it for you.
Yes,
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's just now people are kind of pulling that back up, and it's funny.
It's
he was right.
Yes,
but then he was not right in executing that idea or whatever.
Absolutely. Any other news? I mean, that we want to cover? There's certainly been news.
No, I think that's probably good. And if we think of anything later, we can just talk about it.
All right. This has been
News
of the week / month. Art blocks and generative art in general and fxhash and stuff. And
I wish I didn't have COVID.
Really putting a damper on... But it really just proves how committed we are to this podcast. Week in, week out, come rain, hail, or shine, or COVID. Jamie and I are here bringing you new episodes every single week without fail.
Except for the last 3 weeks.
And I think there was a period of 2 months before that where we didn't go. But we're gonna do better. We're gonna try.
Good excuses, though, to be honest.
We did. We did. But it used to be that we would travel and we'd always record. Yeah. Kind of. Once a week, we're going to do it. And we'll probably be talking more about generative art because that's like, I feel like
there's only one Bored Ape in the club now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was thinking, well, I have two apes, so we technically could still have two apes in the club, but of the humans, only one of them are Bored Ape. Although you're a poser. You pretend. You wear Bored Ape merch. You have your shoes.
I'm not pretending I still own them, though.
Well, to an outsider, to like, you walk down the streets of New York City, everyone's looking at you and going, oh, that guy owns a Bored Ape,
Yeah, they are. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk art blocks. It's been art blocks.
Crazy.
It's been fun.
Bull market in art blocks, starting maybe a couple weeks before our last recording or something. I'm trying to piece together when it started kind of trending up, but it's done really, really well lately.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I have
in ETH terms.
Caveat. In ETH terms, right? in USD terms, a lot less so. But even so, some of the stuff I think is probably quite a bit up off of the bottom in USD terms.
Yeah, for sure. I would say like,
you want to just give a couple examples, or is that boring? Of just scores that you can know of off the top of your head. Sure.
Like the one that squiggles are at like off the top of my head, it's what did you say?
14 is my
something
guess.
Like that. Yeah. Well, 13 now, but they hovered at like the 5 to 6 mark for ages.
Yeah.
And they peaked at like 15. Now they're at 13. However, I saw a graph of like squiggles in USD terms, and like
it's just like
2 weeks ago,
little thing up.
Yeah, when squiggles were at like 8 or 9, I think it was like literally the lowest that they'd been in like a year since like they first ran up last year. But now at like 13 with ETH going up a little bit, they're not at all-time lows, but they're pretty close. Yeah. What else is there?
Basically everything, but
Anticyclone and memories of
Quilin,
Gazers
as well.
Oh yeah, Gazers is probably the
Gazers was already doing well, but it's continued to. Whereas Memories kind of hadn't done so well.
Yeah, it had a lull where it
just caught. Fire.
Yeah, which I'm happy because they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. I like them a lot. When I wasn't buying almost anything, that was the one project I dipped back in to buy a few of because I really like them. Yeah,
it feels like the last like couple of months things have been bubbling in art blocks where like there's just been slow and steady like collectors have been coming in. And actually an interesting thing that we saw, I think, is in many instances it was like a repricing of assets relative to USD, and the biggest example I can think of is archetypes, because they dropped to like 6 at one point. Mm-hmm. And then before this big crash, I think they were around the 10 mark. And then just one day I checked and the floor was like 28 ETH. And then I went and checked the history, and there'd been like 1 or 2 sales. And it wasn't that like someone had come and swept it up. It was that people had like delisted and said, well, I'm not selling for $10,000. I value this higher. I think there might
have been a lot of, like, I personally was bidding a lot on subscapes and archetypes. And I think there was probably a lot of people who saw how much interest there was at prices like a bit below where they were and felt like, okay, I don't need to maybe worry about this, or if I leave it here, it's going to sell soon, and I don't actually want to sell it here anymore. Because, you know, obviously you list something for, let's say, 14 ETH back when ETH is 3,000 and it just sits there, and then all of a sudden ETH is 1,000 and you have that there, you may not be interested in selling anymore. Obviously. Absolutely.
But yeah, like just slowly been I think the art blocks market has behaved quite distinctly from the rest of the market. So like we had that giga peak blow off top in August 2021.
Right.
And I think it was more of a blow off top than the rest of the market. And then it crashed harder than the rest. And the rest of the market, like PFP projects and stuff, had like these bullish cycles.
I want to pause you for a second. To say the rest of the market is a bit simplistic, obviously, because there's so much different stuff that composes that. So you're generalizing there a bit. But in terms of other projects that have stuck around and are comparably sized, at least, you're all
like your big PFP projects, your Metaverse Land, your gaming projects that most people, like the household name ones, the blue chips, I guess, they had like significant bullish periods. Like January was crazy for PFPs and stuff, and April as well was pretty bullish. For the most part, art blocks was like in this just long bear market for like the last little bit of last year and then the first few months of this year. so much so that certain collections you'd look at and it would literally have been 5 months since a single sale. I think that's very rare to see these days outside of a handful of collections. And people have just started. I basically think we ran out of sellers because like there weren't sales, but prices.
Is the thing that I think we had both theorized about. On the podcast.
Prices didn't like go to zero. They just found their natural floor where people were like, all right, I'm not selling an elemental for less than 0.7 or whatever it is that they dropped to. And then now it's really. Like today, this week, it's very much in the zeitgeist, and like people have been talking about art blocks and generative art a lot. It's frothy, I would say. The market is frothy. Like you're getting a lot of flippers and speculators.
I wonder if it's going to sort of turn into another August-like blow off top.
Oh, baby! I mean, on the one hand, if that happens, I'm
not feel good.
Oh boy!
But in USD terms, to get there, we're so fucking.
It's not
far
happening.
Away.
It's just not. It's just not, there's not enough money in the world now. People are poor. Yeah.
Some people are. I think there's still a lot of money in the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly some people shorted the whole crash, and they're probably sitting pretty. But yeah, Art Blocks is on fire. Shall we talk about some of the curated drops? I think the last one was Color Space.
The last one meaning
that we covered.
We talked about. Okay.
Since then, there was Montreal Friend Scale by Armand Tobin. Is that one that you tracked? It interested you? Do you have any?
I have one.
Did you mint it?
I don't believe so. I bought.
It's an interesting project.
Yeah, it is an interesting project. Kind of reminds me of Death Beef for sort of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I have COVID brain right now, so I'm, having a tough time navigating the Art Blocks web page.
It's
so there was Montreal Friend Scale, and then after that was Sudfa, and then today's was Running Moon. But so, do you have any thoughts about Montreal Friend Scale that you're interested in sharing?
I like the collection. I think it's once again interesting and different to basically everything else released in Art Blocks. It's got this.
Aside from algorithms, it seems to be the most distinctly sound-oriented project. I guess Flux is pretty sound-oriented as well.
Yeah.
Although I would say it's probably third if we're kind of tearing it.
I would agree with that. It's got this like white noise feel to it and like this staticky thing, it's obviously animated. I like it. It's interesting. I don't love it. And I think that the diversity within the collection is not the greatest, at least at first glance, which might be hurting it. Like you look at the thumbnails and there's a lot of similarities. But then it's sort of like they sort of, I think, get clarified the more you look at it. And like there's texture or shapes that make form that then adds a little bit more diversity.
So here's the thing for me. I don't know about music. Like I don't know what E sharp sounds like or any of that stuff. So to me, I wonder if people could see like an amazing amount of diversity in things like algorithms or this or Flux that is just literally beyond my brain's comprehension of what is really differentiating these things. Because I know some of that is going on, but because I'm aware of how inadequate my knowledge of music is, but I can't appreciate or speculate on the degree to which it's happening because again, I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm very music illiterate.
But you do love algorithms. I
do.
You're on the record on that one.
I do.
I just got one of those for my first time ever the other day too. That was cool.
Nice. They're a collection
my curated collection is getting filled in nicely.
Yeah, I remember you, like, I think we mentioned on the podcast as well, maybe before this, like right at the beginning of this crazy run, you like picked up like 10 curated and then like a few more after that.
And then I've gotten maybe 5 new ones since then.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
It is. I'm happy.
All right. I think.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about it. A couple of the ones that I kind of really wanted, are starting to sort of become untenable again. Obviously, archetypes and subscapes, which I tried hard for, but those ones I was kind of, I had at least made my peace a while ago with not getting them, but then again, they became kind of close. But like something like Genesis, which I've really kind of wanted for a while, it is starting to get ridiculous again. So that's a bummer that it felt like it was really within my grasp, and now it's getting out of it again.
Yeah, there'll probably be another bearish cycle, and they'll come crashing down,
and I'll probably like win the main event soon or something.
Well, not this year.
Not this year, no.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, a lot of disqualifications for me.
4,500 people have been disqualified.
Yep. Jamie, you came in 2,000th place. Congratulations. So many than 4,000, I wouldn't. Or actually, it doesn't matter. But
all right, next curated Sudfa by Melissa Widerect. Probably mispronouncing that, but this one I really like. I think it's pretty beautiful. That
looks kind of like a German name. Shouldn't you be able to nail that? Also, it might not be German, but if it is, shouldn't you be able to nail that? You live there now.
I do, but I don't speak German.
Okay. Now, can you confirm for me that that's a German name?
It does look like one.
Oh, that's not good.
What did you do?
I just every time this happens almost every time we record. So my monitor has to be so. By the way, I love this podcast, and I'm glad we're recording it again because the tangents we go on are just delicious. Anyway, my cord for my webcam is so short that I have to have my monitor at the very edge of my desk to record, which means I have to take my keyboard and put it into this tray down here, the keyboard tray. But there's already another keyboard in there, which I then push to the back of that tray, but there's no back to this tray. So every time I do this, eventually, or almost every time, I knock that one on the ground, which is what just happened. I'm going to go pick it up now. So here's this other one.
See what I have to deal with? Keyboard. That's a pretty keyboard.
I know, thank you. But it's a mechanical one, and it makes a lot of noise, so my wife doesn't let me use it because it annoys the fuck out of her. So now it just sits here and doesn't get used. And then I knock it on the ground. I know, it's great.
Yeah.
I should play StarCraft while she's at work more often, though, then I can get some good use out of it. She actually works from home now because of COVID, though.
Why don't you get like an extension cord for the webcam cord? Just like
there's no good reason. It's just a USB. Like I could just get a longer one.
Exactly.
Very simple fix.
But that wouldn't be as fun.
I have one if I really looked around.
All right, Sudfa. We don't need to get into the name or where the.
Oh, I did. No, that's what I was trying to do when I knocked the thing out. I wanted to Google that name to see if it is in fact German. Copy. Paste
some great podcasting right here. Jamie's copy pasting.
Feel free to talk.
To Google.
Feel free to talk.
It's a beautiful collection. It is. I'm wondering if I should share my screen, but probably not. I think we'll just have links all to the show notes so you can go follow along because we don't want to do too much visual stuff for the audio only listeners. But it's like plays with watercolors and like calligraphy writing styles, and there's just splotches of color, like paper with splotches of color, and there's like a single line that goes from one side of the page to the other, and there's like sometimes loops and interesting things, and the color palettes are really good, and I really like it. What are you laughing at?
I'm deep in research about this last name while you're continuing to podcast.
You found, well, it's Austrian, but where does it originally come from? Is it?
Well, so I could give you the answers, but it's not that interesting. But
how about come back, Jamie? Come back to us. Come back to Art Blocks. Sudfa. Sudfa or Sadfa?
Who's the artist behind that collection? So about that collection, I do think it looks quite interesting and unique, and I like it. But I found that the idea is we're putting this ink across the screen, and there's these spills of liquid that the ink dissipates into. And I found that in general in the collection, in order for that story to resonate with me, I wanted to see the ink actually bleed into these liquid spots more than it does in almost every case. So if you look at them, it almost looks like the liquid doesn't even interrupt the ink at all, which to me a little bit defeats the sort of the story behind the collection. But regardless, I still think compositionally and what have you, they are nice looking.
Yeah. I think that's fair, and I would
don't
agree.
have one, so I want to get one at some point.
Yeah, like I said, I have a bunch. I think they're beautiful. I'm like a sucker, and I have a soft spot for anything to do with like writing, calligraphy, words, letters. Obviously, a Zeneca, as listeners of the podcast will know. Letters to my future self.
Those are interesting.
Parabellum.
I don't have one, and I need one.
Yeah.
That reminds me of another thing. I'm gonna go get my pen.
I feel like half the time he just leaves me, and I'm sitting here. Anyone else? Write in if you want to be my podcast co-host. Not that we have a place to write into. Tweet at the ZenAcademy Twitter account, not the ZenAcademy, the Two Bored Apes Twitter account, and I'll try and replace Jamie with someone.
Being so dramatic, Roy. I'm back. By the way.
Oh, it doesn't come off too well. That's better.
Yeah. Lean it a little bit.
Yeah.
Get the reflection.
That's a Zancan right there.
The museum quality glass or whatever they said. That's supposed to reduce reflections. But how nice is this? Maybe for the listeners, you could tell people what you're seeing or no. Yeah.
So this is a physical. A print that had been framed, which Jamie got by the generative artist Zancan, who is known for his like nature styles. He does a lot of stuff with like plants, trees, leaves, forests, grass, flowers, and that kind of thing. And it was just
There's
a beautiful.
Also like a lot of sort of remnants of humanity that sort of nature is overgrowing, right? There's an element of that to it.
Yeah.
There's like crumbled pillars and then a lot of vegetation that's growing over it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing artist and person. And beautiful frame. Is that your first NFT that you've had framed?
It is, yeah.
Very nice.
I got
Good
3
choice.
prints of his, and then I got that and one other one framed.
All right. Wait here. You did it to me.
Oh, now you're doing it. Roy is always leaving me. Does anybody want to... Oh, my God. What a podcast. Does anybody want to join as my new co-host? Because Roy just gets up out of the chair, thinks it's totally okay to leave me to try and podcast on my own. Thank you to the fans for listening to this, because I'm not sure how listenable it is. I'm just hacking up along here. Roy's gone. Oh, here he comes. He's got something here. Roy's got a big smirk on his face.
A print.
And an
this is a
bigger
print.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what is this? What are we looking at here?
This is, I can even tell you the edition number. This is Pieces of Me 70. Can you hear me properly?
I can hear you, but not properly.
This is Pieces of Me 71.
This video is good. This is a good video.
By Raven. That's R4 V3N.
Is that a Artblocks Factory project?
It is Artblocks Factory.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
It's amazing. And yeah, like they asked sometime in the Artblocks disc. I'm going to put I'll be back.
That is huge, though. That's a fucking big print. Roy's away. I guess I got to talk again. We're gonna
so
talk
dramatic,
up
Jamie.
here, and he's
so dramatic. Yeah, so they put out like a call in the Discord, I think, saying, hey, if anyone wants, we're doing a bunch of live events in New York and I think other places. If you're okay with us showing your prints in person, please enter your wallet or the print numbers of the collections, checkbox, something like that. And so obviously I'm really happy to have anything that I own shared. And I guess that they selected this, and then one of the team members, staff members from Artblocks reached out and said, hey, we've selected this one. We're going to display it in physical print version, and then we'll send you the print afterwards. I was like, okay, that's amazing. I did not expect it to be this large. I'm happy that it is. It's really cool. Yeah, it's a really great collection. So yeah, and that's it's not the first physical NFT print I've got, but it's the first. I don't think that Zancan's the first print you've got either. Didn't you get like some crypto Bauhaus things or something?
Oh yeah, so those ones were ones that like came with the purchase of the NFT, so a little bit different. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, I mean, this was the first Artblocks and or generative art print. Actually, not the first generative art, the first Artblocks print, and I love it. I can't wait to have like a permanent home location and just fill the walls with physical and digital frames. And I don't know what you're doing, Jamie. Jamie's he's putting something under his shirt. He has his hand reaching up. It's what the hell was that? Oh, pin. ZenAcademy pin. Okay, there we go. I can get behind this. It was difficult to see. Yeah.
A lot of grief when I'm trying to support you.
I apologize. That's cool.
I should take it off. Jeez, I'm getting a lot of guff.
It'll take you like 5 minutes, given how long it took you to put it on.
The person in the world who should be most excited to see me put this on, and you're giving me crap for it.
All right, where were we?
I need some like honey for my throat.
Yeah, you're really dying there. There he is again, leaving me. This is the worst comeback episode, or the best comeback episode. The best. This is it though. Like, if you tune into our podcast to get hot takes and alpha, you're going to be sorely disappointed. If you're here for some random stuff,
if you just want to.
Jamie is now literally squirting honey into his mouth from the bottle. No hot water, just bam, honey.
Manuka honey, expensive stuff.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah. What's the grade on that?
This is a 50 plus.
Whoo!
I've heard that most.
Did you not know we're in a bear market?
Well, I bought it a long time ago, to be honest.
That's some bull market honey right there.
Yeah, it really is, 100%. I'm getting the regular teddy bear honey next time. I read that most Manuka honey is not Manuka honey. Like, the amount of honey that's sold as Manuka honey far exceeds the amount that New Zealand says we are producing.
Yeah.
So who knows if it's real.
That seems fine, yeah. Oh, like, not fine, but like makes sense. The people,
yeah, logical, believable.
Like, yeah. Who's really going to know and be able to tell the difference? Tastes like honey, right?
Well, no, I feel like Manuka actually does taste fairly different than most. Anyway, we're getting off on a pretty big tangent.
Very off tangent.
What were we talking about?
Sudfa.
Something? Prince, yeah. Sudfa. Now was the artist of that collection. Oh man, this is fun.
Your face.
Do you want to talk about the newest one then? Move on to Running Moon?
Yeah, let's talk about Running Moon. So that dropped.
Running Moon came out today, which is
like 7 hours ago.
For the listeners.
Yep.
Pretty cool collection. I like it. I did not mint it, and it's a little bit too high right now for me to buy. Again, we were talking about how Artbox is really kind of in a bullish phase right now, so possibly quite a lot of flippers have gotten back into it. In this curated and maybe the last one or two or going forward or whatever. So I'm kind of hoping to see a pullback as flippers aren't as successful as they want to be in it, but it doesn't yet immediately look like that's going to happen. Although, this is a very short-term thing, as again, it's only a couple hours old. But cool looking collection that I would definitely like to collect if the price comes down to maybe 2.5 or something.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. This is I literally think it's the only Art Blocks curated drop that I haven't minted when I've been at my PC with money ready to mint, because in the past I've had drops that
didn't start
like geometry runners
free though or something.
Yeah, that's which up until like a week ago would have been fine, but because of like the last however many curated drops, they started at 3 and then mint out at like 1, 0.4, 0.25, 0.7. But this one, I think a combination of the collection size being on the lower end, 500, versus many that are in the 1,000 range.
They're all kind of that way at this point, though.
Lately,
that's the new normal.
Yeah, which is great. I think.
I think so too.
Generally speaking,
like the difference between the diversity necessary to hold up a collection of 500 versus 1,000 doesn't feel like that much, whereas sort of the oversaturation and stuff like that difference does seem appreciable.
Yeah.
So I feel
at
like
this
the
point,
pro
at least,
con is really weighed in favor of the pros by holding back a little bit there.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was ready to go, but I just felt there's too much frothiness, and literally like alpha groups who have zero interest in Art Blocks are now like all of a sudden going, hey, let's bot this, let's mint and flip. And I just didn't want to take part in that. I think they're worth above the 3 ETH mark, but yeah.
You don't want to pay those people?
Well, no, like if I was minting, I was paying the artist, but I was like I was at that exact time, I was actually on, I was recording with Carly for Overpriced JPEGs. So like I had one eye on it and I was like, well, maybe if it gets down, I'll like ask to take a short break and I'll mint. And then it just rapidly flew. And I was like, well, okay. I
have
suspect.
You bought on the secondary yet?
So I bought one like pretty close in the immediate aftermath. I looked at some of like the color palettes and I scrolled all the way to the bottom and there's a color palette in New York that there's only 6 of them. And one was listed for like,
just looking at that right there.
One was listed for 4.6 ETH and the floor at that point was like 3.7. So I bought that. And then like within an hour, there was a bid on it for 7 ETH. It's like, okay, cool. That's
70?
7. 70, I would have sold it in a snap.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, like sort of like within 20 minutes of the drop, a 500 supply collection, 200 of them were listed for sale. And the floor ran up and then it sort of dropped down to like the 4-ish range where it's been sitting for hours. I'm shocked it hasn't dropped more. I honestly think that like it's almost like a game of chicken now and liquidity between like the bots and the flippers and the like long-term collectors and holders, where some collectors are going to be picking them up. But I think some of the botters or scalpers, people who buy purely to flip, like I think in the past they might have been like, well, I'm panicking. I don't want to be stuck holding this to 0 or whatever. I'm going to get out and keep undercutting. And now it seems like they might be a little more willing to just hold it out and like wait. All right, maybe give it a day or two. People start buying before we undercut, because it just hasn't been aggressive undercutting like we always see with stuff like this. So I'm still sort of holding out and I'm content with just the one. Happy to have one. If it drops into that like 2.5 range, I'll definitely be looking to pick up maybe 3-ish. If not, happy for the artist, happy for Art Blocks, happy for the charity that a percentage went to. So
I'm looking at them right now. There's another palette called Bubble. There's only one more, and there's 7, and there's one listed of that for only 4.99. That's kind of interesting deal.
There's some really interesting quote unquote mispricings that occur when I think just like there's this sort of like recent flurry of people buying and selling and flipping. And like for a point, the floor was like close to 5 ETH and the highest sale ever was 6.66. And like something's amiss there. Yeah. I think even still the highest sale ever was like 7.5 or something.
Well, oops, I clicked the wrong button. Let me find out for you. Highest last sale, 9. One of them went for 9.
Yeah. This bubble color scheme, it's got comic mode true on as well, which is a trait that I really like. Anyway, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with this collection over the next 48 hours. I really think it's going to drop still. Like there hasn't been a sale in 2 hours. There's been like 8 sales in the last 4 hours.
See any flippers though.
I know.
With that long of a gap.
Yeah.
Or
the number of listings was like like I said, right after mint 200-ish. It dropped to about 130, and then it's back at 200 now. So yeah. But a really beautiful collection. Like the color palettes, they're very pastel-y. A
lot of them, but there's also some not pastel-y ones. Like there's a lot of sort of dark, almost monotone ones that are quite interesting too.
Yeah,
quite different from that more bright stuff that I would say accurately more describes more of the creative space or whatever of it. But there are some like let me see specifically what it is. There's like an aquamarine one. I think it's called Whisper. So that, for instance, is one that's not at all that. But I think I saw a couple others. There's like a deep blue one as well.
Yeah. I haven't seen this Whisper color scheme. It's really good. Like it's emerald.
Jan would like it. He likes
turquoise.
He likes greens.
Yeah. Well, the floor one's actually really nice, but no, I'm not giving that flipper.
I'm not doing it.
No.
Not gonna do it.
You mentioned ZenAcademy. We saw the print. Do we want to talk about fxhash a bit? Because that's the other big platform. It's sort of been taken off. yeah,
I feel like, by the way, speaking of the art blocks bull market and then fxhash, I feel like fxhash had a bull market in the period sort of similar maybe to like God, like that profile picture bull market of like January-ish.
Yeah.
I feel like fxhash was also running then in a time where still art blocks was not having any sort of traction, it felt like. So that's sort of an interesting thing that they sort of preceded it. And now it seems like to some extent that has died out, and now the generative art action is over on art blocks again.
I think that's accurate. Yeah. Like there was definitely this massive bull frenzy on fxhash before art blocks really had it. And now it's like, I wouldn't say it's like before died down. It's cooled off this time. Yeah. And now it's I would say it's less frenzied. There's still like decent volume and like big drops that raise a ton of like sell out for large amounts. But, and I think it was only like a week or 10 days ago that someone traded an archetype for a garden monolith, which is pretty cool to see.
Definitely.
Yeah. My first suggestion for people who don't have a lot of money is always go check out, maybe even those who do, if they're getting into generative art, like just explore. You can buy pieces for literally $1. Like last night, I had like a really long day, and like at 5 a.m. I was like, all right, time to like unwind. I went to the couch and like I was just scrolling fxhash and I found a collection I really loved. It was literally one Tez. It's like, oh, mint, and look at the outputs. Like, this is pleasant. This was fun. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to jump right to the thing that I had planned, or do you want to do some other stuff first?
We can jump to that and wrap it up.
Okay.
I mean,
if you have anything pressing you want to talk about with ZenAcademy, talk about it, and then we'll jump to this fun thing.
I don't have anything super pressing. I just want to say that, like,
I love my fans and all my
team. Not that, just that, like, we have a lot of exciting stuff planned, and I'm like really, like the next 6 months, I think we're basically just stepping it up a notch. And it used to be like, just the Discord server. I don't know, no roadmap, literally no roadmap.
I had a tweet that sort of said something about how it used to be like a fun group, and now you want to conquer, you want to be a dictator or something.
Yeah. I want to be a dictator. I want to be king of the metaverse. No, I want to, like, I have greater ambitions now. I'd love to do like a in-person like retreat, a Zen retreat, like a conference, but instead of in New York City, we go somewhere in nature and have workshops and probably not in Central Park. Stuff like that.
More nature than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus lots of other fun, exciting things planned. Anyway, that's basically. Oh, the 333 Club sold out. That like finished minting. That's kind of newsworthy, noteworthy.
There's 333 of them. Was that the premise?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
now they're all sold.
Yep. Anyway, let's go on to your thing.
All right. So I have here the production volume of the most produced food commodities worldwide. Okay. And I'm going to eliminate all the animal stuff. I just want crops. These are plants. Okay. Mm-hmm. I want you to give me what you think are the top 5 in order food crops grown in the world. And I'm going to give you 1 point for each one you get correct, and a bonus 1 point for each one that you get correct in the correct place. So like double correct or whatever. And actually, before we do that, how many points do you think you're going to get? The most will be 10 if you name all 5 and get them in the exact right order.
How are you defining crop?
What would you like clarified, Roy?
Like, is that include like, is that vegetables as well? Is that just grains? Is it
anything that we grow for food?
Okay.
Food
I reckon I'll get. Well, I feel like you're asking this because I'm going to get wildly wrong or something.
They're not crazy at all.
Okay, I'll say. Let's go with 4.
Okay, Roy says 4 points. I feel like that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Rice.
As your number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Wheat.
As your number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Corn.
Okay. Easy 3, but after that, it's tougher for you.
I'm kind of rethinking maybe corn number 1, but anyway, potatoes.
Okay.
Got one more. What's something people eat a lot of? This is a really good podcasting right now. I feel like 4 were relatively easy.
No, maybe like it is good podcasting because people at home are having fun doing it themselves. They're having fun yelling at you if they think they know it.
I'm sure I'm missing something obvious. I'll go with sugarcane.
Oh wow, that's exciting stuff. So, spoiler alert, I was hoping you weren't going to guess that because that's the number 1, and I would have thought it would be good if you went all 5 without getting it. Number 1 is sugarcane.
Okay.
Number 2 is corn, so smart of you to kind of want to bump that up later. Number 3 is wheat, so like you were kind of right in there. Then 4 is rice, and then after that is palm oil.
Oh, okay. So I got 4. I won.
Yeah, and then potato after that. You did fairly well. You actually, did you get exactly? Wow, impressive stuff.
Thank you.
Because I saw something about how bananas were the second most grown fruit in the world, and I was like, well, what's grown more than them? And I just got curious about this nonsense.
Yeah. Some people who tune in to listen to our NFTs are like, what am I listening to? Like, how many people are driving in their car right now going,
they would have to be listening to it for the first time trying to hear NFT stuff, because otherwise they already know what they're getting.
Yeah. Do we also want to play What Am I Thinking, right? Or is that it?
If you want to, yeah.
It's become like a tradition. Let's play it.
Sure. It's those same people that are only in it for the NFTs.
Well, if you're one of those new people, Jamie is squirting more honey into his mouth. We've sort of got into a tradition of playing this game. It originated because we needed to find a word for a POAP that we were giving out, but we no longer do that, but we still play the game. The game is called What Am I Thinking? And effectively the way it works is Jamie and I will both think of a word. We will count down from 3 and then say the word that we thought of at the same time, or it could be a very short phrase. And then presumably we won't have said the same thing to begin with because it could be literally anything in the world. But then we'll both try and guess the word or phrase that we think is like in the middle of those two. And then you just keep going until you eventually get a word or phrase. All right. Let me think. All right. I got one.
I have one as well.
You want to do the countdown?
Sure. 3, 2, 1. Ink.
Mushroom.
Ink and mushroom. Ink and mushroom. Okay, I guess I got one.
Sure.
3, 2, 1.
Toad.
Indigo. Did you say code?
Toad. Because from Super Mario. Yeah.
Toad. Okay, toad and indigo.
By the way, why indigo?
Isn't that like a dye or something? A plant, but it's like also a plant.
It's a color, I guess, but maybe it's also a plant.
I think it was originally came from a plant called indigo.
Okay. Anyway, so we got indigo and toad.
Indigo and toad.
Okay, I got one.
Okay, I'll just say something. 3, 2, 1.
Brown.
Venom and brown. Roy seems very confident on this.
I think this is obvious.
All right, I guess we'll just go for it. 3, 2, 1.
Snake. There you go.
Brown recluse you're thinking of?
Not specifically.
Oh, okay. I think it's like a famously venomous one. Ooh, no,
well,
it's a spider, I think. It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
Brown recluse is a type of something that's got venom.
Yeah. So snake is the code word for nothing.
Brown it's a spider. Oh
okay, I'm glad I didn't Google that.
So many wrong keys on my thing, and now I can't get back. Oh, I fixed it. Okay, here we go. I'm back.
All right.
Good stuff.
So we'll be back next week is the plan.
Yes, for episode 48
of One Bored Ape.
Bored Apes. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Do we need a new name, or are we keeping the name? We're just
I think we keep the name, but we just like slap on one of my apes in the logo, so we're not like doing weird IP stuff because someone sold their ape.
Me. That was me.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random